Good morning, everyone. Rise and shine. It is happy Hempy Hump Day time. So, welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA, where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you've forgotten, Mark wrote a book about it, but he's in France right now. He's gallivanting in France, taking the Tour de France and checking out all the new CBD stores that are opening up in France, because France has only been CBD for the past couple of weeks, I just learned. So Nurse Mark and Nurse Jamie, we hope you are having an AFA time in France. And I'm really honored and grateful to have my girl, Carey Lee, Green Nurse, Iowa, from Soul Thrive, to be here on the show. Carey Lee, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun doing this with you.
You know what? It's really good, because it's just like, for me, it just comes down to, waking up in the morning. I just don't know about you, but some mornings when I wake up, it's almost as if I feel, okay, here we go. I'm going to bring it back to cannabis. It's almost as if I feel I start off with an endocannabinoid deficiency first thing in the morning, right? Because I feel out of balance most mornings. So it's kind of like, let's get your cannabinoid therapeutics daily 5 to thrive going as soon as possible.
Amen.
Right? And,
Amen.
And you and I both know it requires a lot of self-talk and reshifting how we talk to ourselves in the morning. Let me just tell you, it's hard. It's unlearning a lot of what we learned so we can grow and thrive. Would you agree, Carey Lee?
Absolutely. 100%. Yes.
Yeah. So it was really cool this morning. We were texting each other, and I'm laying there, and I'm just sending you a cool article about the vagus nerve, because we're going to talk about that, because the vagus nerve is really cool, but not today. We're going to talk about other things today. But, we're just laying there this morning, and we were talking about the self-care activities as to how we were starting our day off, and that's all about Carey Lee's daily 5 to thrive. And in 1 minute, we're going to talk about what it looks like to live in the thrive zone. But first, we're going to start off with the daily love. We start off the morning, like literally with affirmations, with woo-woo, because you know what? Woo-woo is for you. Woo-woo is for me. Woo-woo is for we. We all need a little woo-woo in our lives.
Woo, woo, woo. We love it. Yes, we do.
Oh, see, God. It's perfect. It's perfect.
A little slap happy this morning. I'm just thriving. I'm just woo-wooing.
Well, this is the part that's so cool. It changes. If you can, let me tell you something. Laughter is definitely the best medicine.
Absolutely.
For sure. Right?
Yep. Absolutely. It's so good for you. It's healthy for you. It lowers your blood pressure, boosts up your serotonin. It's awesome.
And just to think, if you can make your own self laugh, like if you're able to self-soothe and make your own, do you ever say to yourself, I crack myself up?
Yeah. And do lots of silly things. And like my son and I, he's away at college. He's out at the University of Iowa, and we'll do the snaps, but we'll do the filters, all those crazy, wacky filters. Yeah. And so it's like, we're just going back and forth that way just to have a little fun. Like, oh my God, I love you. I miss you. But we don't want to be dragged down. We want to be happy and have fun. So it's just, I don't know, it's feel good stuff. You just do it just because. You
do it just because. Because. So Carey Lee, we have been on Monday morning. Carey Lee joined me for Motivational Monday, and we talked about spirituality as the root of cannabis care. And Carey Lee was discussing some of what she does in the morning to start off the day. We all start off with positive affirmations, prayer, meditation, breath work, energy work, whatever it takes. And some of the things that you do too, Carey Lee, and I've been doing this for a long time. I just haven't done it on the show yet. But I want you to do it. We've been pulling cards, and these universal cards. And I'm not sure which deck you're going to pull from today, but we're going to start the day off with a little reading from an oracle card deck. And I'm going to let Carey Lee tell us what we're doing.
Okay, so today's oracle card deck is the Divine Feminine. Divine Feminine. This is one of my favorite decks. It's written so eloquently, so beautifully, very historically referenced. I love it.
And it makes me think of the cannabis plant. She is the divine
She
feminine
is
plant.
divine. Yes. Yes. And
Whenever I,
powerful. And
whenever,
powerful.
and powerful, whenever I take an inhale of the divine feminine cannabis plant, I am truly grounded in grace and grounded in gratitude and grounded in, wow, look what this plant's done for me. And look what this plant
Right.
is doing for other people. And the divine feminine is open, receptive, relaxed, goes with the flow, creative, co-creates. And so right now, Carey Lee is in this awesome space. She's shuffling, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
Do you want me to split the deck in three and you pick which top one?
Yep. Split the deck in three, and I already know I'm picking three.
Okay.
You, me, and we makes three.
Okay. That's
Here
right.
we go.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Ready? Boom,
Who's
boom,
the girl?
boom.
Who is she? Who's talking? Who's talking to us today?
Wow. The saint of true freedom. Honestly, I'm embarrassed. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Mira Bay.
Ooh, okay. We're going to have to
look her up. It says, Mira space
M-I-R-A.
BAI. Oh, this is beautiful though. Listen to this. The saint of true freedom. Love is what sets me free. I am married to my own soul. Ooh,
Oh, there we go.
that's gorgeous. I love that.
Yes.
And it's so true because when you allow yourself to fall in love with yourself and really truly love yourself for who you are right here, right now, everything, the shadow and the light, you love it all. It's the most empowering, freeing, actually freeing thing I've ever experienced. And I've just recently really been going through. And that's why I love working with these types of decks, because it's just like, it's so
Carey Lee,
powerful.
it is. But will you share for our viewers what that looks like for you? Because it's important. Here we are. We're nurses. We're educated. We're cannabis nurses. But we're bringing in spirituality. We're trying to ground in spirituality, different principles. Cannabis has opened up the door and made me feel comfortable to talk about my woo-woo. So, and that shift of perception that we have. So how did that look to you? So you said you've just started to experience being able to embrace both the light and the shadow. What does that look like? And I know cannabis plant helps us with that, because it does. Because what are we doing? We're improving cognition, we're improving neuroplasticity, we're doing neurogenesis type of activities. And we're going to talk about that today. So this actually filters right into our conversation as to you embracing both the light and the dark. And the light is all that's positive. The dark is stuff that we are afraid of. The dark is stuff that we think is bad. The dark is those emotions that a lot of us don't want to address because we're afraid of them. Right?
Right.
Does that make sense?
So like loving myself, really, really, truly starting to love who I really am, the real me, not the me that is, the show that's put on for everybody else because you want to please everybody. You know what I mean? Right. The real authentic version of me, it allows me to feel free. It allows me to feel that I am worthy of being loved. I am loved. That was one of the first messages I heard and felt from a feminine being in one of my treatments that I've had. And it was so, so, so healing to just hear that from this strong, powerful, loving, I guess I'm getting a little deep, but yeah.
No, deep is good. I love the deepness.
It makes me feel more comfortable allowing myself to be vulnerable, and opening up to other people, because, when you're somebody who's dealt with CPTSD, I've been battling that for well over 75% of my life, if not longer. And so you don't trust people and you isolate. So when you really start to love yourself, trust who you are, stand in that truth, unwaverly, that's a freedom I can't even describe. I'm just getting going, girl.
I know. But the part that's so cool is because Carey Lee, this is what I so love is, that divine feminine card, what you chose, and looking at the notes of what does a day look like in the Thrive Zone. all of that. So it's that self-nurturing. That's divine feminine energy that we're able to bring onto ourselves, in a way, and it brings us into that thrive zone. So I really love your list here. We want to go through it. What does a day look like in the thrive zone? And we do activities to get there. Just do you, if you think you roll out of bed and you're in the thrive zone, well, if you do, you're lucky.
Well, actually, right? Let me say that the first one on my list, and this is something that's been recent in the last few years, is just waking up, literally smiling, and an instant feeling of just peace and gratitude and love, and really just an eagerness to get the day going. And I know people are going to be like, "Girl, you out of your mind." Well, you know what? I know sometimes I am, but no. The thing is like that when you start noticing those positive, thoughts, that's when I know real healing is occurring. That's when I know all of the years of work that I've been doing. And it doesn't happen every day. Like yesterday, I woke up, I was a bloody mess. I woke up in an anxious state. Something triggered while I was sleeping that I can't recall. I'd have to, guess it would be like some type of an emotional flashback or something. But, it wasn't a thrive day yesterday. It was a survival day.
Right. Okay. So let's look about what that looks like. So what does a day look like in the survive zone?
A day in the survive zone is waking up with really negative, thoughts that could be thoughts of anger or thoughts of sadness, just really darker thoughts, despair, tearful. I'm just defensive and reactive. I'm like fluctuating between all the different, fight, flight, emotions, fawn, freeze,
so for me, like, just tell me this makes sense. So survive zone gets into the place of, would you feel, this is for me, when I think of survive zone, is if I make it, I feel fearful and I feel like I need to protect myself.
Yes.
And sometimes our protective coping mechanisms aren't what we want them to be, right? So because we're in that survive zone, at that fight or flight.
Well,
right?
I become extremely defensive and reactive, and being reactive to things just really sucks, quite frankly, because it's very difficult to just have basic communication with other people. So, this would make one's workday very difficult. You know what I mean? Right. Difficulties communicating with your spouse and your loved ones, managing your day's activities because you're just so like,
everywhere
in what's happening in your mind. It's a struggle to manage the day's responsibility. So yeah, you got the ruminating negative thoughts and the fear. I mean, for me, I'm going to have a PTSD episode or a panic attack in public. So, yesterday was different though. I was able, I let myself be vulnerable and reach out to you, and that's a healing thing because of the treatments that I've been receiving and the work that I've been doing. So those new neural pathways have really kicked in and they are popping, baby.
The dendrites. We're going to talk about neuroplasticity. Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is what I love. So the thrive zone you mentioned is like waking up with a smile, feeling gratitude, eagerness to get the day going. I like this one. How about this? Not craving coffee. Whoop, whoop.
You know what? I know that when I it doesn't happen all the time, but on those days, I'm like, holy shit, this day is going to be fire. I am just going to nail it all down and it's going to be awesome. And it always is. It's like, what? That's why I love to work out in the morning too. If I can get an early morning workout in, it's like, are you kidding me? I'm one of those people. I love to have like a zillion things done before 8 a.m. The rest of the world's just getting going.
There you go. Well, there it goes. And that leads into the next thing of being in the thrive zone, that feeling of resilience and the ability to take on whatever comes our way with grace, with poise, with love, right?
Yeah.
And some of the other things that you wrote too, and you even talked about this earlier about allowing yourself to be vulnerable and open to new experiences, the ability to remain focused on the present. And I love this one. Slaying dragons and riding unicorns over the rainbow and sprinkling fairy dust, right? That's
I'm literally sending you positive vibes, people.
Yeah. So this is good stuff. This is so good, and it's just like, like I said, we're just bringing you information here. as to how you can start off your day, whether you're using cannabis or not, it doesn't matter. These are really good tools to have. Adding cannabis just makes it a little bit better because it helps. Literally, it actually for me, it opens me up to more possibilities. I completely shift out of that one-way thinking and the box disappears.
Well, right? And the cannabis for me, like I don't usually partake in THC rich cannabis during the day. I tend to lean more towards a higher CBD ratio. However, I did use THC rich products as a rescue. I had to use it as a rescue for two things: to combat the nausea that I was feeling. The anxiety triggers horrendous nausea for me. And also just to, it's like it just takes it, like just calms and soothes and stops that chatter so that you can just
you can hone in. Boom, boom, boom. So today is Wellness Wednesday, and we've led into this topic about talking about neuroplasticity, neurogenesis, and cannabinoid therapeutics. So neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to grow, reorganize, and evolve by the formation of new neurons that then build new neural pathworks in our brain based upon our response to life experiences, environment, behaviors, and internal experiences. So, Carey Lee, you'd mentioned something about the Hebb's law. Let's talk about that a little bit. What is Hebb's law?
Basically, I love this. Neurons that fire together wire together. So it's the coolest thing. So, we want the more communication between the neurons, the stronger the network. So, or also known as that neural pathway. So it's really that whole use it or lose it thing. And very similar to that of working out your physical body and your spiritual side as well. You've got to utilize those things and work at it and learn and keep it strong, develop and keep things strong and tight, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and one of the things, all learning and memory happens thanks to neuroplasticity. So if you think about, when we're thinking about different illnesses and things that come up in our lives, neuroplasticity is responsible for our ability to heal from multiple things. Carey Lee, what are some of those things?
Stroke, multiple injuries. I'm thinking TBI, birth abnormalities, improving symptoms of autism, ADD, ADHD, and various learning disabilities. It will help one to recover from depression, anxiety, and addictions, which we've just been, talking about. So also known to help reverse some obsessive compulsive patterns. So pretty impressive things the old brain can do.
It is. So it's great. So neuroplasticity was responsible for all of those things. So think about that. And cannabinoids and other tips, tricks, hugs, and nugs and tools can contribute to neuroplasticity. So the thing that's so cool about neuroplasticity, it's the most powerful in children. So think about that. And as we lose that strength as we age, there's scientific evidence that the brain still has this capability, but we need to work it. Like she says, we use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Like in our early years. So neuroplasticity is more prevalent in children. As we get older, we start to lose it. But evidence has shown that we have the capability of getting it back, of reworking these pathways. I know personally for myself, when I was sick back in 2012 to 2015, boy, there was nothing but doom and gloom, misery in my mind. Like my neural pathways were completely 100% shut down. But the cool thing is that cannabinoids can help, right? So neuroplasticity is so important because to educate on it, because it brings that hope that we talk about, that hope and that inspiration. And that hope allows the possibility for us to change dysfunctional patterns of thinking and behaving so we can develop new mindset, new memories, new skills, and new abilities.
Yes.
So neuroplasticity. And then there's the next piece of it, neurogenesis. Carey Lee, what's neurogenesis?
Neurogenesis is the brain's ability to create new brain cells called neurons and new neural pathways or networks. So we want to grow lots of those, and we want those brain cells to communicate like as much as possible, because the more they communicate, the more they fire together, the more they wire together. So that means the stronger that network and that connection is, the more, stable, that we can enforce those positive new habits and thoughts and mindsets and such, right? So it's really exciting. How does neuroplasticity and neurogenesis work together?
All right. So you put together some great notes for me. So I just want to say thank you, girlfriend.
Coming from you, I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, this is good.
Okay, honey, you are AFA at that, right?
So this is just great. So Carey Lee put together some great notes for us. And neuroplasticity and neurogenesis do work together. And research has suggested that neurogenesis promotes more powerful connections and have a higher likelihood of winning the battle to connect than the older, unhealthy neurons. So the disruption of neuroplasticity caused by chronic severe stress and illness increases the likelihood of depression and PTSD. So we lose those synapses. We're stuck in those neural ruts, the rumination, the negative story loops, the fear-based memories. How many times have you heard people that are going through experiences where they're stuck in a loop? They can't get out of it. It's like
it's horrible. It's horrible. It's miserable for them. They're just devastated. And they really, really are truly, truly stuck. This is not something that they want to be happening,
Yeah. And so the good news is there's a way out. Cannabis is one of the tools, but we're going to talk about other things as to how we promote neuroplasticity and neurogenesis, and then we'll get into how cannabis can help. So Carey Lee, how do we promote neuroplasticity and neurogenesis?
So really, truly, what it boils down to is always introducing anything new to your brain. So learning would be really awesome. Promote any type of learning, like a foreign language, or learning how to play a music instrument, things like that. Anything that really gets your brain out of its comfort zone. Other things, and there's research backing a lot of this. Intermittent fasting, traveling, and think about what travel is. Traveling to a new place, the excitement, the joy, you're learning about things, you're exploring, you're taking risks and chance, you're outside of that box. Let's see, reading fiction, interesting. I thought this was pretty interesting. I had a little high eyebrow moment. Playing video games, but oh honey, I was a PlayStation queen back in the day, let me tell you. Twisted Metal, anyone? Twisted Metal. But so non-violent video games, like that are educational, puzzles, anything that promotes critical thinking, teamwork, sleep, good quality restorative sleep, exercise, movement. What do you say about exercise?
Motion is the lotion. Let's keep moving our bodies. Just keep going.
Stress reduction is huge because one of the reasons that our neural networks just kind of like shut down and clamp down and like focus and ruminate on negative junk is because it's the chronic stress. It messes with that default mode network. You know what I mean?
The lateral habenula.
Boop, boop, boop. Yeah.
That's part of our brain, y'all.
So like yoga, meditation, breath work. We always talk about these things. Dance, being outdoors in Mother Nature, adaptogens, the Healy, cannabis. And of course, there are other psychoactive substances that are now being shown real substantial research, psychoactive things like psilocybin, ketamine treatment. So, I mean,
So you mentioned about an article too. There was an article linked to the most research when it comes to psilocybin and neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. What did that say?
Well, the thing that stood out to me the most on that article was, who was it? Alex Kwan. He's an associate professor of psychiatry and of neuroscience. He's a senior author of the paper. But what he said really struck me the most. We not only saw a 10% increase in the number of neuronal connections, but also they were on average about 10% larger. So the connections were strong as well. And this was after, utilizing psilocybin. So,
I mean,
it's, you hear about macro dosing versus micro dosing. I mean, it's, so exciting things coming.
Really, really exciting. So let's just get back really quickly to all of these things here that Carey Lee spoke about, how we promote neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. A lot of them have to do with how we support and nourish the endocannabinoid system, right? So if the endocannabinoid
Isn't that amazing?
system, yes, it just makes sense. If the endocannabinoid system is the most important system in our body, then it makes sense that we need to do things that support and nourish it and avoid things that don't. So when we look at something that's going to promote new learning, get our brain out of its comfort zone, to promote neurogenesis, the regrowing of cells, neuroplasticity, the better connection between cells, we are doing these things, and cannabis is not another one of the tools. So this is what leads us into the endocannabinoid system, right? How does this tie in? So we do more of what supports it and do less of what doesn't support it. And so one of the things that I was looking up when it having to do with neurogenesis and neuroplasticity and some of the drugs that are on the market. So cannabinoids are nootropics, but they're much safer. So what is a nootropic? And I don't even know if I'm saying it right. So nootropics are on the market, and they're considered to be smart drugs or smart substances that can boost brain performance. However, they're actually called too. So they're smart drugs, smart substances, nootropics, and they're also called cognition enhancers. But the thing is they don't treat the disease, but they may have some effects on thinking, memory, and other mental functions. So there's often medications that are prescribed for ADHD, narcolepsy, Alzheimer's disease. And the issue with these drugs is that there's multiple side effects, which can include a variety.
Not very good ones there. I don't like those.
No. What are some of the side effects, Carey, of these traditional pharmaceuticals?
High blood pressure, elevated heart rate, insomnia, other sleep disturbances, trouble with vision, addiction. This to me as a nurse screams polypharmacy. This to me screams, oh my God, this patient is going to get, prescribed medications to deal with the side effects of the other, and it's just don't get me going.
I know.
Infuriating.
And that's why we're here today to talk about, other things that can be used to promote neurogenesis, be a neuroprotectant, and neuroplasticity. Some of these traditional pharmaceuticals, they didn't know any better. They were doing the best they can with what they have, but the side effects are really, really 100% debilitating. So the whole point of this is that there's non-prescription substances that can enhance brain performance. So I'm going to give you an example. Caffeine, creatinine, cannabinoids, right? So as cannabis nurses, we like to educate on the phytobotanical nutrients from the cannabis plant as a way not only to help neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, and to be a neuroprotectant, but it also works on all of the 11 organ systems and the neurotransmitter signaling systems. So that's what's so powerful about cannabis as medicine, is it's working on multiple things at the same time. So one of the things that we saw too was CBD. Why does CBD promote neurogenesis or the growth of brain cells? Right? So I
love this.
This is a good one. So brain cells, think about this. Our brain cells contain cannabinoid receptors, primarily the CB1 receptors, that is actually looking for the anandamide and the 2-AG. And if you remember, when we talk about the endocannabinoid system, the anandamide and 2-AG are endocannabinoids that we make, and they give messages to all of our body systems and neurotransmitter signaling systems. So this is what I love about CBD when it comes to this, is CBD works indirectly with the CB1 and CB2 receptors, but it works directly with all of the other neurotransmitter signaling systems that we know of: dopamine, serotonin, opioid, glutamate, GABA, norepinephrine, epinephrine. So you have this very rich medicine. So when
it's beautiful, CBD, it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. So that's the thing, is that you don't need a ton of THC. This is the thing, is that there are so many different cannabinoids that are out there. It's all about the balance. And when we're working with patients, what do we like to look at, Carey Lee? We like to look at everything, right?
I want to know everything. I don't want to just talk. I mean, obviously the health goals are important, but I want to know everything. What's your social life like? What's your work life like? What's your spiritual side like? What do you do? Just Here's a question that usually shocks everybody. They're like, huh? What do you do? What activities do you do that for no other reason other than to incite joy? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people are stumped by that very simple question. And that's, that's where we're shifting things, working with patients in this level.
Yeah. So as cannabis nurses, we look at the whole. Go ahead. What were you going to say, honey?
Yeah, the whole. I'm sorry. I was going on
topic.
No. Let's not do that.
No, you said I love, and when you say I love
what
know
you
what
just
you
said about the fact that CBD works, how it works indirectly with CBD, CB1, CB2 receptors, but works directly with the other neurotransmitter signaling systems. Specifically like the glutamate. Glutamate is excitatory. You know what I mean? So we want something to help. Like I'm a little overexcited right now, so I could use a little CBD to help. Right?
Yeah.
I just love that. That's one of my favorite little informational nuggets of today's show about CBD. Yeah. So
that's the part that's so cool too, is because it's a balance. It's different for everyone. We look at the whole picture: intake, disease processes, symptoms, medication, other activities. We ask the question, what's important to you? How do you want to live your life? How do you experience joy? What are you doing? So cannabinoids are really, really well tolerated, more than many medications, when they're dosed appropriately. So as we know, we've been educating all along, is different cannabinoids will do different things. And as we educate all the time about entourage effect, we like people to have the full salad. Just imagine you're going into the salad bar, right? You've got all these different cannabinoids, terpenes, essential fatty acids, bioflavonoids, cannaflavins, and you're going to put a little on your plate. So when you think about it that way, because if you go to a salad bar and you just put lettuce on your plate, how freaking boring is that? You want the whole thing.
I want to eat from the rainbow. I feel like if I eat from the rainbow, it's a winner. It's a no-brainer. It's a winner.
Yeah. And so that's how I think of cannabis. I think of cannabis as a salad. And we want to use, when we're working on these different things with brain health, cognition, neuroplasticity, neuroprotectant, neurogenesis, we want to use the cannabinoids that are less impairing. Many of the cannabinoids have a biphasic effect, which means they do opposite things depending upon the dosage. And so it's really essential to find your sweet spot. We are promoters of microdosing. And when we microdose cannabinoids, it mimics our own endocannabinoid system, that on-off switch. And then what about some of the cannabinoids, Carey Lee? I got on my list here some of the good ones that might be good to start with. Always hold
CBD, CBD, THCV, THCA, CBG is a big one. I'm a big fan of CBG, CBN, and then some of the terpenes, pinene, beta-caryophyllene.
Beta-caryophyllene, yeah. So some of those are really good choices.
Tongue-tied. So going with starting off with some of those cannabinoids and terpenes, and then slowly adding little bits of THCN.
Right.
Yeah. So
the thing is too, is we love, utilizing multiple different methods of administration to find the best method of administration for you to take advantage of, we call it that neurotropic effect, especially when you're using tinctures or stacking methods. So the bottom line, when it comes down to all of this, is that there's nothing more important than your brain health. And cannabinoids are known to be neuroprotectants, foster neurogenesis, and also neuroplasticity. So I want to say hi to everyone out there today. Rise and shine. Happy Hempy Hump Day, everyone. Let's put my glasses on here, and let's just see who's here joining us. Whoop. All right. Hello, Marissa. Hello, Jack. Hello, Bloom. Hello, Glenn. You guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Really happy to hear you. Spread the love, spread the message of cannabis wisdom. I'm going to put my other banner up here. All right. So Carey Lee, what do we got going on at the Holistic Caring community?
Oh my goodness, we've got all kinds of fun things going on there. So pretty much this community is a private network. You can join it for free. It is secure. It's inclusive. We're doing all kinds of fun things in all different areas of holistic, anything and everything, really. Cannabinoid therapeutics, energy, various forms of energy healing and topics. There's lots of different people in the community, and all kinds of different people from the cannabis industry, including medical professionals, wellness professionals. We've got patients in there and caregivers in there. The green nurses are in there.
We found our home. We found our
home. I really, really, really encourage everybody to join us and, take, they're offering a complimentary introduction to cannabis course. It's a self-paced course, gives you an idea of what educational tools look like in that community. And of course, they have a lot of other really phenomenal self-paced educational offerings. And what we have a huge 50% off going on, flag 50 for that education. So
right. So that's the
very,
thing too,
very cool stuff.
We invite you to come into the community, take the free course. It's uncensored, it's private, there's discretion. You can reach out to us privately. There's messaging, there's posts, all of our podcasts are there. We're all in there, and the reason why we wanted to have this was because it's uncensored, number one. And number two, it's a place for us all to gather outside of social media, and really just focus on health and wellness and things that support and nourish our endocannabinoid system, which is really good.
Amen.
Woo. Amen. So tonight,
Amen.
Amen. So tonight I have on Marcy Cooper. So we have a Green Nurse podcast tonight. I'm going to be highlighting and illuminating another cannabis nurse in the space. I haven't met her I haven't met her in person, but she's been doing some great work. She's one of the original OGs.
Oh my God, she is such a badass.
Yeah, she is a badass. So Marcy, we're really, really, really excited to have you on tonight.
Yeah.
Which will be great.
Very
cool. Then Thursday, I have on Green Nurse Denise Costello. She's going to be talking about energized living, what it means to live an energized life as cannabis as a wellness tool, really getting into wellness. And then on Friday morning, I have Kathleen Graham from Michigan. She's cannabis nurse, does amazing things in the cannabis space. Her name was on a billboard just recently. I love it. So
go,
really
Kathleen.
Cool. Go, Kathleen.
That's a check mark right there, girl.
Exactly. And then we're going to dive into a little bit about hospice and palliative care and her experiences, and just talk about cannabis and how that's applicable and how it's beneficial for people at end of life. It's a no-brainer, but we're going to talk about it anyways because it's important. And then, of course, on Friday, after Kathleen, we're doing Frequency Friday with the energy healing. And then, who's flying in?
I'm Carey Lee. To you, baby.
Carey Lee is coming to Boston to spend some time with me, and we're going to do a little retreat over the weekend with Green Nurse Denise. And I'm sure we'll be going live to give you guys a little idea. So the part that's so cool is Denise is creating this energized living Green Nurse retreat for people, all people, and we're going to be in the planning mode. So, Jamie, Denise and myself, all Green Nurses, started off to planning, and now Carey Lee's coming in, and we're really going to evolve, this space, because what's really, really important is we all get this head full of knowledge, right? We learn, we take webinars, we take seminars, we take classes, we Google, you know what I mean? So we're doing all of these things, but what we really want to happen is we want to be able to ground that information. That means, so in other words, it's not just up here, it's a feeling, that it works, you have an experience, and that experience is positive, you're going to remember. So having experiential learning, and so that's what these Green Nurse retreats are about, educating on the endocannabinoid system, tips and tricks, hugs and nugs, tools that you can use every day, how you can pair cannabis with health and wellness activities, and actually have that real live experience with nurses right there to hold your hand. So I think it's a really cool concept, and I'm really excited.
I cannot wait. That is one of the best perks of what we do is research and development. Got to test it all out before you, right?
Yeah. We're researchers for sure. That's what I like to call it. We research and we report. And that's
R&D,
important.
baby, R&D all the way.
You know, what do we say? We're taking one for the team.
We're taking one for the team, babe. Taking one for the team. Happy to do so.
Happy to do so. So you all, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really grateful. Carey Lee, it's always an honor to have you on here. You shine your light, girl. I love it. Can't wait to see you on Friday. And you know, everyone, really remember, it is all about living your best life, helping others do the same, and decreasing stigma around what it means to feel good. Thank you, everyone. We love you.
Bye.